The night around Earth's defense zone was quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that made even the hum of machines sound like whispers in a dark room. On the edge of this vast emptiness floated Research Station Orpheus, a lonely outpost circling a cold and forgotten moon. Most of the crew hated being stationed there, but for young Officer Daniel Cross, silence meant possibility. Silence meant discovery. Daniel was not like the others, where most saw boredom. He saw mystery. He was the communications officer, always listening, always waiting, scanning for voices hidden in the static of space most of the time. The signals were nothing but noise, broken fragments of data, faint echoes of faraway stars, but tonight, something different whispered across his console. It was not random static, not a coded transmission, not a friendly ship checking in. It was a sound that felt alive, a slow pulse. Almost like a heartbeat, Daniel froze, his fingers hovering over the controls. For a moment, he thought it was a malfunction, but the rhythm was too deliberate, too purposeful. Command. "I'm getting something," Daniel said. His voice calm but tight. The commander, an older man named Harkins, walked over with heavy steps. "Probably interference again," Harkins muttered, already annoyed, but when he leaned closer, his eyes narrowed. The pulse was still there, steady, patient, like something waiting to be answered. The crew gathered around, each one whispering guesses. Some said it was a distress signal. Others swore it was a new kind of weapon test. Daniel said nothing. He only felt the weight in his chest, an instinct telling him this was not human. Hours passed, yet the signal never faded. And then, without warning, the pulse changed. The rhythm sped up, like footsteps approaching from far away. Daniel's console flickered, the lights dimmed, and a strange shimmer appeared outside the viewport. At first, it looked like a distortion, a tear in the darkness, but slowly, it shaped itself into something more. A silhouette, tall, graceful, stepping out of the void as if the universe itself was opening a door. Gasps filled the control room. She's human," someone whispered. But even Daniel knew that was not true. The figure was a woman, at least in form, her skin pale like moonlight, her eyes glowing faint blue. Her hair floated around her as though gravity itself dared not touch her. Every movement was smooth, elegant, like water flowing in space. She did not wear a suit. She needed no air, no protection, nothing. The alarms blared instantly, red lights flashing across the station. Security teams rushed in, rifles raised, shouting commands. But the woman simply looked at them and the rifles bent, metal twisting like wax in a flame. The weapons clattered to the floor, useless, silence returned. Heavier than before, Daniel's heart raced. Yet he could not look away. She was terrifying, yes, but also beautiful in a way no human could describe. Her gaze fell on him, and for a moment the station disappeared. He felt as if she could see everything, his fears, his hopes, his hidden dreams. He wanted to speak, but his throat tightened. Words died before reaching his lips. "Who are you?" Commander Harkins demanded. Forcing strength into his voice, the woman tilted her head, her lips curving into a faint smile. Her voice came not through sound, but directly into their minds. "You called, and I have answered," she said, calm and gentle, yet carrying power that made every word echo inside their skulls. The crew panicked, some stumbling back, others clutching their heads. Daniel, however, felt the words sink deeper, like they were meant for him. He whispered under his breath, "She's not human," and he knew, deep inside, that this was only the beginning. The alien woman took a step forward. Though no door had opened, no airlock released, she moved through barriers as if they were illusions. Every light in the station flickered again. As if bowing to her presence, the crew wanted to flee, but fear pinned them to the ground. Daniel finally found his voice, trembling but steady enough. "What do you want from us?" he asked. Her glowing eyes locked onto him again. "You are not ready to know," she answered softly. Her words filled the air like a warning, but also like a promise. The crew shivered, some clutching their weapons though they no longer worked. Commander Harkins tried to step forward, but the floor beneath him rippled like water. Pushing him back, she had not attacked them, not truly. But with every small act, she reminded them how powerless they were. Daniel could not shake the feeling that she had come not to kill, but to judge. And as the alien woman stood in their control room, radiant and unstoppable, he realized something chilling. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for war with machines, weapons, and invasions. But they had never prepared for her. And deep in his chest, Daniel felt the truth settle like ice. Humanity was not ready. The crew of Station Orpheus stood frozen, their breath shallow, their eyes locked on the strange woman who should not exist. The alarms had gone silent, as if the machines themselves had surrendered to her presence. Only the faint hum of the reactor remained. A nervous heartbeat against the heavy silence, she moved slowly, carefully, her bare feet making no sound against the steel floor. Though she looked human, Daniel felt certain she was not. Every step, every glance, every small gesture told him she was something greater. Her body glowed faintly, not like light on skin, but like energy barely contained, and her eyes, those glowing blue eyes, seemed to watch not just the crew, but the very air around them. Commander Harkins clenched his jaw, trying to show strength. "You're trespassing on Earth territory," he barked, his voice rough. "Identify yourself at once." The woman paused, tilting her head like a curious child, and for the briefest moment a soft smile curved her lips. "I am older than your territory," she answered. Her voice again inside their minds, clear, cold, and strangely gentle. The crew flinched. One soldier stumbled back, his rifle still bent in his hands. It was not just her words, it was the way they felt. Like her voice brushed against their very thoughts. Daniel pressed his palms against the console to steady himself. He wanted to look away, but something in her presence demanded attention. "Why are you here?" Daniel asked before he could stop himself. The others turned, shocked at his boldness, but the woman's gaze softened. "I have watched your kind," she said, her voice slower now, almost reflective. "Your people reach for the stars, building weapons greater than your wisdom, daring to control what you cannot yet understand." Her words cut through the air, sharp but calm. "You are not ready." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, muttering under their breath. Some sneered, calling it lies, others shifted nervously. Unable to meet her gaze, Daniel, however, felt the weight of her words sink deep. There was no arrogance in her tone, only certainty, as though she had seen this story play out many times before. Commander Harkins slammed his fist against the console, his voice trembling with anger. "Enough riddles! Who sent you? Which empire do you serve?" The alien woman laughed, soft and strange, like the sound of wind through glass. "I serve no empire," she said. "I am what you fear and what you seek." The shadow that watches the fire grow too bright. Before anyone could respond, she raised her hand. The lights flickered, screens went black, and gravity itself shifted for a moment. Pens, tools, even sidearms floated in the air before dropping again. No one was hurt, but the message was clear. She needed no weapons, no machines. She was power itself. "Is this a test?" Daniel whispered, unsure if he spoke to himself or to her. Her eyes found him again, and this time her smile was almost sad. "Yes," she said softly, "a test and a warning." The room grew colder. Though no system registered a temperature drop, the crew shivered as she stepped closer. Daniel's heart thundered in his chest, his mind racing. She had not come to kill them, not yet. But her presence was enough to break their courage, to remind them that their weapons, their walls, even their planet itself, meant little against her kind. "What do you want from humanity?" Daniel asked, his voice low but steady. The woman stopped only a few feet from him. Her gaze pierced through him as though searching his very soul. "I want you to survive," she answered, "but survival is not given. It is earned." Her words hung in the air like thunder without sound. The crew was restless now, some angry, others fearful. One officer muttered, "She's lying. She's here to weaken us before the real attack," another whispered. "No, she's warning us. She's warning us for something worse." Daniel tried to speak again, but the woman turned away, walking toward the wide viewport. Beyond the glass stretched the endless void of stars, quiet and eternal. She raised her hand, and suddenly the stars shifted, the glass rippled. Images flooded their vision, not just stars but entire civilizations burning, collapsing under wars, consumed by their own arrogance. Gasps filled the room as the crew fell to their knees. Overwhelmed, the vision ended as quickly as it began, leaving only the cold stars once more. The woman's voice echoed inside their heads. "Many rose and many fell. You stand at the edge closer than you believe." The crew stared at her in horror, unsure if what they saw was memory, prophecy, or illusion. Daniel's throat tightened, his mind replaying the flashes of destruction. This woman, this being, had seen it all before, and now she was here, standing before humanity's fragile beginning. Commander Harkins tried to regain control, his voice shaking but loud. "You expect us to believe you? To kneel before you?" The woman turned back, her glowing eyes calm. I expect nothing, she said. Belief changes nothing. The truth remains. Her gaze lingered on Daniel once more. Longer than before, and in that silence he felt a strange chill. As if she had chosen him, not the commander, not the crew, but him. She turned away again. Her final words soft but clear. The stars will judge you. And so will I. The station went silent once more. No alarms, no weapons, no voices, only the heavy breath of fear. Daniel stared at her glowing form, his heart torn between awe and dread. And he knew, as certain as he knew his own name. This was only the beginning. The vision faded, and the stars returned to their normal place beyond the station's glass. The alien woman stood silently, her glowing eyes calm, her body still, as though she had said all she needed to say. But the crew was in chaos. Whispers turned into shouts, and fear quickly turned into anger. Commander Harkins slammed his hand against the console, his voice sharp. Enough of this madness. Whatever you are, whatever game you play, Earth will not bow to your tricks. His words echoed through the control room, but Daniel noticed the tremble in the commander's voice. It was bravado, not certainty. A man fighting to hold control when it was already gone. The alien woman tilted her head, her expression unreadable. I do not seek your obedience, she said softly, her voice filling their minds again. I seek your survival. But her calm words only fueled the fire. One of the officers shouted, Lies! She's here to weaken us, to make us afraid before the invasion. Others nodded, gripping their useless rifles as though clinging to hope. Daniel felt his stomach twist, his instincts screaming that they were wrong. This being was not lying. She did not need lies. Her power was truth enough. But when he opened his mouth to speak, Commander Harkins cut him off. We've heard enough warnings. Earth decides its own future, he growled. The alien woman's glowing eyes narrowed, the faint sadness in them replaced by something colder. You cling to pride as if it will shield you, she said, her voice steady but sharper than before. She raised her hand and suddenly the room shook. The walls groaned, lights flickered. Gravity twisted once more. Objects lifted into the air, spinning weightlessly around the terrified crew. But just as quickly she lowered her hand, and everything crashed back to the floor. Not a single person was harmed. But the message was clear. She was showing restraint. Do you still not understand? She whispered, her words heavy with disappointment. For a moment the crew was silent, stunned by her display. But then Commander Harkins laughed. Harsh and bitter. Parlor tricks, he spat. Illusions meant to scare us. You think we'll kneel because you bend a few lights and float some junk? Earth has weapons, real weapons. You won't scare us. His defiance spread through the room like fire. Some officers straightened, nodding, shouting their loyalty to Earth. The fear in their eyes turned into anger. Anger turned into denial. They convinced themselves she was a fraud, that humanity's armies could crush her. Daniel's chest tightened as he watched. He wanted to shout at them, to beg them to listen, but his voice was drowned in the noise. The alien woman did not move, she only watched them, her silence louder than their words. Finally, her gaze turned back to Daniel, and he felt her thoughts brush against his mind. They choose blindness, her voice whispered inside his head. Private meant only for him. They will not listen until it is too late. Daniel's throat went dry. His voice cracked as he whispered, What happens if we ignore you? Her lips curved into a faint, sorrowful smile. Then your future will burn as theirs did, she said. The commander barked orders, demanding the crew ready emergency defenses. Engines roared, shields buzzed to life. Weapon systems powered up. Though all had already failed once under her gaze, Daniel knew it was useless. But no one wanted to believe him. They wanted to fight, even if fighting meant nothing. Target her, Harkins shouted, pointing toward the woman. The soldiers raised their bent rifles, their hands shaking. Daniel wanted to stop them. But before he could move, the alien woman lifted her hand once more. The rifles melted into glowing streams of liquid metal, dripping harmlessly to the floor. Gasps filled the air. But she did not strike, she did not harm. I warned you, she said, her voice echoing through the room. You are not ready. You reach for destruction faster than wisdom. You deny truth even as it burns your eyes. Her glowing body flared brighter, casting long shadows across the walls for the first time. True silence filled the room. No one spoke. No one breathed. Even Commander Harkins lowered his gaze. Unable to hide his fear anymore, Daniel stepped forward, his voice shaking. Please, he said. If we are not ready, then teach us. Don't just abandon us. Her glowing eyes softened, her gaze lingering on him longer than anyone else. You would learn, she whispered. But will your kind follow? She turned toward the viewport again, staring at the endless stars. Her voice dropped to a whisper, but every soul on the station heard it. Warnings are gifts. Ignore them and the universe will give you punishment instead. The lights dimmed, the air grew heavy, and the crew trembled. No one dared move. No one dared speak. Daniel realized in that moment that the alien woman had not come to destroy them. She had come to reveal the truth, but humanity was too proud, too stubborn, too blind to listen. As the silence stretched on, Daniel knew something deep in his chest. The warning had been given but ignored, and soon, the cost of that mistake would come. The station trembled under the weight of silence. Every crew member stared at the alien woman, unsure whether to scream, run, or pray. Her warning still echoed in their minds, but no one wanted to accept it. Humans had always trusted in their weapons, their ships, their science. But here was something greater, something their tools could not measure. Commander Harkins broke the silence, his voice sharp and angry. Enough of this. You think you can scare us with words and tricks? We are soldiers of Earth, we do not bow. His words lit sparks among the crew. Some nodded, desperate to hold on to courage. Others clenched their fists, hiding fear behind anger. The alien woman turned to face them again, her glowing eyes calm. Her expression was not anger, but sorrow. You do not believe, she said softly. Then you will see. She raised her hand, and the world changed. The air grew heavy, pressing against their chests. Every screen in the control room flickered, static hissing. Then the machines went dead, consoles, engines. Even the life support systems, everything silent. The crew shouted, rushing to controls, slamming switches. Reboot the reactor! Someone cried, but nothing answered. The station had gone blind, deaf, and powerless in an instant. Daniel gripped the edge of his console, his heart pounding. She hadn't destroyed them, she had simply switched them off, like a parent snapping their fingers to silence a child. He looked at her glowing form and realized this was not even effort for her. The soldiers raised what weapons they still had, trembling. Fire! Harkins ordered, desperate to prove their strength. Bullets shot forward but stopped in midair. Dozens of rounds floated between the woman and the soldiers. Hanging like frozen raindrops, the men gasped, watching their own fire turn against them. The alien woman flicked her wrist and the bullets spun. They dropped harmlessly to the ground, metal clinking softly on the steel floor. Her eyes never left them. This is your war, she whispered. Bullets and fire. Yet against me they are dust. She took another step forward, and the floor rippled under her feet. Steel bent and curved as though it were soft clay. The crew stumbled, grabbing walls and consoles as the ground itself shifted. The woman lifted both hands now, and gravity obeyed her will. The crew floated upward, their bodies rising helplessly into the air. Shouts filled the room, panic spreading like fire. Some flailed wildly, others cried out in fear. Daniel floated too, but he forced himself to look at her. She was not smiling, she was not cruel. Her face was calm, almost sad, as if she wished they had chosen another path. Then, as quickly as it began, she lowered her hands. Everyone dropped back to the floor. Landing hard, some groaned, others scrambled to their feet. But none could deny what they had seen. She had commanded gravity itself. Still, the commander refused to yield. You think this frightens us? Harkins shouted, though his voice cracked. You are one and we are billions. Humanity cannot be broken by fear. The alien woman's eyes glowed brighter, her body shimmering with raw energy. I do not seek to break you, she said. I seek to show you what you are not ready to face. She turned toward the viewport. Raising her hand again, the stars outside shifted once more. But this time it was not visions. This time it was reality bending. The endless black void split open, tearing like paper. Behind it shimmered an ocean of light. Stars collapsing, planets burning, galaxies twisting into ruin. The crew gasped, some falling to their knees. The sight was too big, too impossible for the human mind to grasp. It was as if she had pulled back the curtain of the universe, showing them forces far beyond their reach. And then, with a wave of her hand, the tear closed, the stars returning to their natural place. She turned back to them, her voice colder now. You build weapons of fire while standing at the edge of storms you cannot survive. She raised one finger, and a steel wall bent inward like it was nothing more than paper. With another flick, the ceiling lights exploded in a shower of sparks. None of it touched the crew. Every spark curved away from them. Obeying her will, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. She had not harmed them, not once. But she had shown them piece by piece that nothing they built could stand against her. And if there were more like her, humanity's weapons meant nothing. The crew stood trembling, broken between fear and denial. One soldier whispered, She's a god." Another muttered, "No, worse than a god." Harkins still clenched his fists, but even his defiance was cracking. His voice faltered as he said, Why are you here?" The alien woman lowered her hands, her glow dimming slightly. "To warn you," she said, her voice steady but soft. "To give you one chance before you bring ruin upon yourselves." Her gaze shifted back to Daniel, her expression unreadable. "Some among you are ready. Most are not, but one voice may shape many." Daniel's chest tightened as her words sank deep. He did not understand why she kept looking at him, but he felt it, like a thread tying them together. He wanted to believe she had come not as an enemy, but as a teacher, yet after what she had shown, he feared what lesson would come next. The alien woman turned toward the viewport once more, her final words sending chills through the crew. "Power is not what destroys you. Pride is." And with that, the lights of the station flickered back on. Machines hummed to life and systems returned to normal, as if she had never touched them, but the crew knew better. Nothing would ever feel safe again. Daniel stared at her glowing form, a knot of fear and awe in his chest. She had unleashed only a glimpse of her true strength, and he realized something terrifying. That glimpse alone was enough to crush humanity's armies if this was only the beginning. Then humanity was standing at the edge of something far greater than war. The station was alive again, lights glowing, machines humming, air systems breathing. But the crew no longer trusted the walls around them. They had just seen those same walls bend like clay under the will of a single being. The illusion of safety was gone, replaced by silence and trembling hands. The alien woman stood calm, her glow softer now. Her power no longer flared, but its memory lingered heavy in the room. Every soldier avoided her gaze, even Commander Harkins. The proud man who had barked orders only minutes ago now clenched his jaw, unsure what to say. Finally, he spat the words through gritted teeth. "What is it you want from us? Do you come to conquer, to rule?" The woman tilted her head, her voice quiet but sharp. "If I wished to rule, you would already kneel. If I wished to conquer, you would already burn." Her words cut through the air like a blade. The crew flinched, some lowering their eyes. Ashamed of their own pride, Daniel swallowed hard, stepping forward. "Then why are you here?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear twisting inside him. Her glowing eyes rested on him once more. "To give you a choice," she said. The crew shifted nervously, whispering, "What choice?" Daniel pressed his chest tight. The woman raised her hand, and images flickered in the air. Not dreams, not illusions, but visions of possible futures. The crew saw Earth cities stretching high into the sky, ships crossing stars. They saw peace, discovery, and unity, humanity thriving among the stars. But then the vision shifted. The same cities burning, skies black with fire, oceans boiling, nations tearing each other apart with weapons they could not control, entire worlds swallowed in chaos. The crew gasped, some covering their eyes. Daniel stared, heart pounding as both futures unfolded before him. Her voice echoed steady and calm. "You are at the edge. One path brings greatness, the other brings ruin. The choice is yours," Commander Harkins sneered, though his voice wavered. "And who are you to decide our future?" Her gaze flicked to him, sharp as lightning. "I do not decide. You do. But you are blind to what lies ahead. I am here to show you." The silence that followed was heavy. Some of the crew whispered prayers. Others muttered in anger. Daniel could feel the weight of her words crushing him. A choice, not forced, but real. But how could humanity choose when it was divided, fearful and proud? He stepped closer, his hands trembling. "Why show us this? Why me?" The woman's expression softened, her voice almost a whisper. "Because one voice can turn many." "And you still listen?" Daniel's throat tightened. "Why him?" He was no commander, no leader, just a young officer on a forgotten station. And yet she kept looking at him, as if he carried something no one else did. The crew argued behind him. "She's lying." One soldier shouted, She wants to trick us into giving up our weapons. No, another whispered. She's trying to save us. The voices clashed. Louder and louder, fear and pride mixing into chaos. The woman raised her hand again, and silence fell instantly. Her voice was colder now. You fight not me, but yourselves. This is why you are not ready. She stepped closer to Daniel, her glow bathing him in pale light. Her words pressed directly into his mind. If they cannot choose, will you? Daniel's breath caught. You're asking me to decide? For all of humanity, he whispered. Her eyes glowed brighter. One spark lights the fire. One choice begins the path. His heart raced, his mind screamed. How could he decide the fate of billions? But he knew deep inside that humanity's pride would blind them forever. Maybe one voice, his voice, was the only way forward. Daniel stepped back. Harkins barked, his voice desperate. She's controlling you. The soldiers raised their hands again. Though their weapons were gone, they still clung to anger, to defiance. But Daniel shook his head slowly. No, she's giving us a chance. The alien woman's gaze softened, a faint sadness in her eyes. Few understand, fewer accept. But choice always demands courage. Daniel felt the weight of the moment press down on him. One path led to denial, to pride, to destruction. The other meant trust, risk, and hope. And standing before her, he realized something terrifying. There might never be another chance. He lifted his chin, meeting her glowing eyes. I choose to believe, he said quietly. The words trembled, but they were real. A hush fell over the room, the crew staring at him in disbelief. The alien woman smiled faintly, her voice gentle now. Then perhaps there is hope. Her glow brightened, filling the control room with light. And as the light wrapped around them, Daniel knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The control room glowed with pale light. It was not harsh like the blinding flash of a weapon, but soft, alive, as if the air itself carried her presence. The crew shielded their eyes, yet they could not look away. Daniel stood still, his chest tight, his choice echoing in his mind. The alien woman's form began to change. Her skin shimmered, no longer pale but translucent. Light pulsed beneath it, flowing like rivers of energy through her body. Her hair floated upward, strands of silver light instead of dark threads. And her eyes, those blue eyes, deepened into something endless. Like galaxies burning inside them, gasps filled the room. Some cried out, some stumbled back. She's not even solid, one soldier whispered. No, she's something else, another muttered. His voice trembling, Daniel's breath caught. He had thought she was powerful, but now he realized he had only seen a mask. This was her true self, and it was beyond human imagination. Her voice echoed again, though now it resonated deeper. Not only in their minds, but in their very bones. You see me now? Not woman, not warrior, not human. I am energy bound by will. I am life shaped by choice. Her body brightened, her outline blurring. The steel walls reflected her glow, shadows stretching thin and fragile. The crew cowered, clutching the ground, whispering prayers to them. She was no longer an intruder, no longer a threat. She was something more, something close to divine. Daniel forced himself to stand tall, though his knees trembled. He felt her gaze upon him again, heavier now, almost crushing. You said, humanity is not ready, he whispered. Then why show us this? Why reveal yourself at all? Her glow pulsed brighter, her answer calm but full of weight. Because ignorance breeds arrogance, and arrogance destroys. Her words struck the crew like hammers. They had mocked her, defied her, raised weapons against her. And yet she still spoke not of revenge, but of teaching. Daniel took a step closer, his voice steadier. You've seen this before, haven't you? Civilizations, like ours? Her glowing form shifted, a faint sorrow in her voice. Many times, she said, worlds that reached too far, too fast. Worlds that chose power over wisdom. They burned. I carry their ashes in memory. Visions flickered again, alien cities collapsing, towers falling, oceans boiling, skies torn apart by wars of fire. The crew cried out, covering their eyes, but the images seared into their minds. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Every ruined world was a warning, and now Earth stood at the same edge. When the visions faded, silence returned. The alien woman's glow dimmed, but not her presence. She looked at Daniel once more, her voice quieter. You ask why I reveal myself. Because within you, I see something different. Daniel froze, his chest tightening. Me? He whispered. I'm no one. I'm not a leader, not a hero. Her gaze did not waver. One spark begins fire, One voice carries across silence. You listen when others close their ears. That is enough. The crew stared at him now, shocked, whispering among themselves, why him? Why not the commander or the scientists or the soldiers? But Daniel felt it. Her words were not flattery. They were truth. Somehow she had seen into him, into the part of him that longed to understand, not to conquer. Commander Harkins finally spoke, his voice hoarse. This is manipulation, he muttered, pointing at Daniel. She's twisting him, trying to divide us, but even as he spoke, his eyes betrayed his fear. He had seen her power, her visions, her truth, and deep down even he knew denial would not save them. The alien woman's glow pulsed again, brighter now, filling the room like sunrise. She lifted her hand, and for the first time, the crew felt not fear but warmth. It spread through their bodies, soft and steady, easing the tightness in their chests. They were no longer floating, no longer trembling. For a moment they felt peace. This is what you could become, she said softly. Not fire, not ruin, but balance. A race that shapes stars with wisdom, not hunger. But only if you choose it. Daniel's eyes stung, his throat tight. He had never imagined humanity could be more than war and survival. But now, seeing her, feeling her, he believed it. And yet he also knew the danger. If humanity ignored her, if it clung to pride, the same peace could turn to ashes. Her form shifted once more, her glow fading slightly as though she was pulling herself back. You have seen enough for now, she said gently. I will not force the path. I will not choose for you. I only reveal. The crew stood in silence, broken between awe and fear. Some knelt, whispering prayers as if to a goddess. Others clenched their fists, still too proud to yield. But Daniel stood still, his heart heavy. He understood the truth. The greatest battle ahead was not against her. It was against humanity's own pride. The alien woman turned once more toward the stars. Her final words, soft but sharp as a blade. I have revealed what you must see. The rest is choice, and as her glow dimmed, the crew realized something terrifying. She had not even shown her full power. What they had witnessed was only a glimpse, and yet it was enough to shake the fate of an entire world. Daniel's heart pounded, his choice still fresh on his lips. But now he wondered if it would be enough because the revelation was clear. Humanity's survival would depend not on weapons, but on whether they could change. The glow faded. Leaving the control room dim once more, the hum of machines returned. The steady rhythm of life support filled the silence. It was as if nothing had happened, as if the station had never bent under her power. Yet every soul inside knew the truth. Nothing would ever be the same again. The alien woman stood quietly, her form still shimmering faintly, her energy dimmed, her presence softer. She looked not like a conqueror now, but like a shadow of something greater. Her eyes lingered on Daniel one final time, calm but unreadable. You have seen what is coming, she said, her voice a whisper that echoed in their minds. The choice belongs to you now. I will not return soon, but I will return. Her words sank into Daniel's chest like stone dropped into water, sending ripples of fear and resolve. Commander Harkins tried to speak. His voice strained. If you leave, we will be ready for you next time, he growled, though his tone was hollow. The woman turned her glowing gaze toward him, and for a heartbeat he froze. You mistake me, she said. It is not I you must be ready for. It is yourselves. The room fell into silence again. The crew exchanged nervous glances, each one weighed down by the same thought. She had not come as an enemy, but as a warning, and if her words were true, humanity's greatest danger would not come from the stars, but from its own reflection. Daniel wanted to ask more, to beg for answers. But before he could speak, her body began to blur. Her outline dissolved into light, her form scattering like dust into the air. One final whisper lingered in their minds. Soft but sharp, choose wisely, and then she was gone. No flash, no explosion, only empty space where she had stood. The control room seemed colder without her, the silence heavier. It felt like the stars outside had grown more distant. For a long time, no one moved. The soldiers stared at their useless rifles on the floor. The commander clenched his fists, his jaw tight but his eyes uncertain, and Daniel stood frozen, replaying every word, every vision, every look she had given him. Finally, the silence broke. She's gone, one officer whispered. His voice thin, another muttered, We survived, somehow. But Daniel shook his head. No, this isn't survival. This is the beginning. The crew turned toward him, confusion and fear in their eyes. He met their gaze, his voice low but steady. She didn't come to kill us. She came to test us, and we failed. The words hung in the air like heavy chains. Some shook their heads, denying, others looked away. Unable to face the truth, Commander Harkins slammed his fist on the console, desperate to take control. Enough. We will report this to Earth Command. They will decide how to respond. But Daniel stepped forward, his chest tight. No, he said firmly, surprising even himself. She didn't come for Earth Command. She came for us. For all of us. And if we don't change, her warning will come true. The crew stared at him, stunned by his boldness for the first time. Daniel felt the weight of her words inside him. One voice can turn many. Maybe this was what she had meant. Still, doubt gnawed at him. How could one man carry such a burden? How could he convince a world that didn't want to listen? And yet, when he thought of her eyes, her voice, her power, he knew he could not remain silent. The days that followed blurred together. Reports were written, stories debated, but no one agreed on the truth. Some claimed she was an invader. Others called her a liar. Many dismissed her as illusion, a trick of deep space, but Daniel knew better. He had seen her true form, felt her presence, heard her warning alone at his console. He would replay the moment she looked at him, her words echoing in his mind. One spark begins fire. One voice carries across silence. He did not know if humanity could rise, if they could learn, if they could change, but he knew he had to try. One evening, he stood at the viewport staring at the endless stars. The universe seemed so vast, so full of promise and danger, and somewhere out there, she was watching, waiting. He felt both fear and hope. Fear that humanity would fall. Hope that perhaps when she returned, they might prove her wrong. He placed his hand against the glass, whispering into the void. "We'll be ready." The words carried no certainty, but they carried determination. It was not a promise to her, but to himself. Behind him, the station remained alive. Machines hummed, lights glowed. The crew carried on, but nothing was the same. Every choice now carried weight. Every step forward could shape the path of billions. The alien woman had vanished into the stars, but her warning burned inside them. Not a curse, not a blessing, but a challenge. And as Daniel stared at the endless night, one question refused to leave his mind. When she returned, would humanity rise to meet her? Or would her power be the last thing they ever saw?